And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. It's a story that's making national headlines, and we were the first to break this report that has become a movement nationwide, all right here on The Factor Uncensored. And tonight, DeAndre Arnold is back to talk about the craziness that has been his life for the past month. DeAndre is a senior at Barbers Hills High School in Mount Bellevue, Texas, and he's in a dress code dispute with his school district over his dreadlock hairstyle. Now, despite growing them out for years, the Arnold family says just recently, Barbers Hill HISD said the locks had to be cut or DeAndre would have to go to in-school suspension, a move that would keep him from walking the graduation stage in May. And now DeAndre's younger cousin, Caden Bradford, is also being told the same thing. And despite showing up with his locks in braids on Monday, the 10th grader was told that wasn't good enough. Joining me now here on The Factor for an exclusive interview is both DeAndre Arnold and Caden Bradford. Glad to have you all back here on The Factor. It's been crazy for you. Obviously, being thrusted into the national limelight is not always fun.
It's not. It's actually really stressful, to be honest. But I mean, just got to deal with it. We got to get a spotlight on this issue because it's a real problem.
Now, how difficult has it been for you with your classmates, with your friends, with your family? Has anyone turned their back on you?
I wouldn't say that anybody turned my back on me because really all I've got was support. Nobody ever, came at me and said, it's just the rule, follow it. Nobody's ever told me that.
Mm-hmm. And what about your fellow classmates? What are they saying on social media to you?
Oh, yeah, they would always say that we support you 100% and stuff like that, and that really validates it for me and kind of makes me think, yeah, I'm doing the right thing when I stand up against the school board like this.
Now, you were just told last week what happened in your case. Now, you've been in school for a while with your dreads as well.
Well, basically, I haven't been in school like the previous week, but last Tuesday I went in to see if I'd be able to go to classes, and basically they told me I'd be able to, but I'd have to be put in school suspension.
Do you think this is as a result of your cousin?
I think it's a result of my hair and how it's not in dress code, probably. That's why.
And do you think that's fair to you?
I don't think it's fair at all because my hair is part of who I am, and for me to cut it, it'd be like cutting me in half, basically.
Mm-hmm. And what about you? Have you had any second thoughts, or do you plan to continue to fight this, DeAndre?
Never going to stop fighting this until we get to a resolution. Never.
Mm-hmm. To hear so many celebrities come forward, like Gabrielle Union tonight, and DeAndre Hopkins and Essence Magazine all come forward and say, we support you, continue your effort. Your thoughts on that?
Man, that means so much to me. Whenever people like that, people in a place of power stand up with me, that just gives me so much more determination that makes me keep fighting this thing.
Now, are you concerned about graduating?
Graduating, I mean, I want to walk across the stage. That's something I want to do. I've been here since pre-K. I feel like I've earned that.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're there, if you're in school suspension, are you able to graduate? Are you able to march there?
Okay. So the thing with that is I can graduate, but I won't be able to walk across the stage with all my fellow peers.
And what does that mean to you to be able to experience that?
That's once in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
To walk that graduation stage in high school on my way to prepare for, life, that means everything to me.
And right now, you're in the 10th grade, right?
Yes.
So it's not time for you to walk, but you still want to eventually get there.
Yes.
So where do you stand with the hair issue? What does it mean to you as well?
I feel like, it's an issue that needs to change because, it's an old rule. And it needs to be changed because the trends are changing, everything's changing, rules need to change. And I feel like they're not letting it change because of, people who want it to stay the same, if that makes any sense.
Right. And let's hear from the superintendent. He sent us a statement or posted a statement online today, Greg Poole. He said in this statement, we allow any legally accepted religious or medical exemptions to our dress code and have allowed such exemptions in the past. We will continue to be a child-centered district that seeks to maximize the potential of every child. Local control is sacred to this country, and we will not be bullied or intimidated by outside influences. when you hear something like that, that they will not be bullied?
It's funny, like, they're saying they won't be bullied. After what they've been putting me and my family through, they won't be bullied. No, we won't be bullied. We're going to stand up against them no matter what it takes.
All right, and a lot of people are supporting you, and a lot of people are behind you. Thank you guys for coming on The Factor, and keep up the fight, and we'll continue to follow you. Thank you. We had a lot of online comments asking, what does dress code have to do with a good education? Up next, a former assistant principal answers that question. Stay with us. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. It's clear what could happen at Barbers Hill School District if you don't follow the hair dress code policy there. But how important is a person's hair length and their overall dress in school? Campuses with strict dress codes say their policies and regulations prevent distractions, create an almost professional environment, and stops gang activity. But there are those who say dress codes don't make a difference when it comes to education. In fact, some say some of those codes are sexist and racist. Right now, there are more than 400 petitions on change.org to address dress codes in schools around the country. Here to talk about this issue is former assistant principal, now education consultant, Tiffany Washington. Glad to have you here. When you see a story like DeAndre's and his cousin, and they're stuck out of school, facing in-school suspension as a result of the length of their hair, your thoughts on that as a former educator, education consultant, and former assistant principal?
So one of the things I think is that it's an injustice for any student to be held in a prolonged fashion inside of in-school suspension. That's an unfair education. He's being isolated from the rest of his peers, and he's been being isolated from that instruction that is necessary for him to make it to the next level.
For many, it's the elephant in the room with Barbers Hill ISD. Only 3% African American, so they're not used to dealing with this issue, and they call it bullying by the public now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing about it is, when you don't understand
or care not to understand,
or when you care not to understand what's going on with African American hair, and you don't see the waves and the trends that are currently existing, then you fall by the wayside as far as your policies and your procedures are concerned. The superintendent was listed as saying this has been a policy for over 30 years. Well, that's exactly what the problem is. It's been 30 years. The world has changed. The world is more diverse, even in the way we identify in our genders.
Right.
So who's to say that it's not okay for a young woman to come in with a shaved head? Mm-hmm. So why is it not okay for a young man to come in with the length of hair that he chooses to have?
And let's get down to the educational component. Would it be disruptive in a school, in a classroom, to have someone with dreadlocks? And would it harm or hinder their education?
So locks in and of themselves are not a hindrance to education. The only reason why a hairstyle would be a hindrance is if it kept another person from seeing the board, for example, or if the hair was quite unkempt, as in it was unwashed or something like that. And that would be a hygiene issue that we would discuss separately with the child. But other than that, hair should not be an issue, and it does not impede education.
What does it take for school districts around the country, not just Barbers Hill, but school districts around the country where they haven't come into the current times and to the realization that students are different now? They have different hairstyles now. They dress now differently now. Like you said, they could identify differently.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I would say is that we really just need to take a close look at how we are accepting others as people. And when we start to think about that as far as education is concerned, what's more important? Is it more important that we produce healthy, productive citizens, or is it more important for us to cause a media ruckus because we want to hold on to our stagnant beliefs?
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming here on The Factor.